Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here. In this video we're talking about 3DS, GameCube and Wii and Switch emulation, as well as Ares, Source Engine, and Linus tech tips. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off here talking about Nintendo 3DS emulation on PC and Android with Mikage. Ever since Mikage has risen up from the ashes, a lot of people have been extremely excited about it, myself included. And now we finally have an update. Mikage now boots into the 3DS menu, and in my opinion here, this is a massive update. I mean, this emulator is targeting high compatibility and it will be supporting Vulkan. It appears as if Citra is going to have some pretty tough competition sooner rather than later. And you bet I will be paying attention to it. Next up, we're talking about GameCube and Wii emulation on both PC and Android with Dolphin. Dolphin just released their progress report for February, March, and April. And it is a big one. There's a ton of information in it. I do recommend checking it out. I'll leave a link in the description below. One of the biggest things from this progress report is Factor 5. If you're a fan of the Rogue Squadron series, things are looking a heck of a lot better. The top is before, where you can see textures aren't necessarily defined, and after here, well, the sand and snow look a heck of a lot better. Now over on Android, it's absolutely no secret that Mali GPU drivers pose a massive headache for a bunch of different emulators out there, and Dolphin is no exception. If you've got an Exynos 2200, the OpenGLES backend is now supported. It's not recommended, but it does work within Dolphin. So here's a quick comparison between Vulkan and OpenGLES on an Exynos 2200 playing Super Mario Galaxy. In terms of frame rate, at 2x native resolution, we're sitting at 60 frames a second using Vulkan, and that drops down to 41 frames a second using OpenGLES. That is a massive difference, and also a very good indicator as to why Vulkan is better. On Android, you can pick up the latest version of Dolphin right from the Google Play Store. It was just updated here the other day, and it's version 5016380, which is the latest beta version. Alternatively, you can pick up the APK right from Dolphin's website, and if you're on PC, you can download Dolphin right from Dolphin's website. On the downloads page, if you scroll down just a little bit, there is a section here for development versions, and these might have some more changes that aren't available in the beta versions. For example here, the latest version in the development section is 5016453, which is a few versions later than the beta, and yes, you can pick this one up for Android as well. But mind you, the development versions may have some things that are broken, they are experimental, and they might not be as stable as the beta version. But at the same time, you might get some better performance out of it. Next up, we're talking about Ares, a multi-system emulator for PC that's focused on accuracy. Ares just got a brand new update here, version 1.28, and it just came out the other day. This new version of Ares brings about a bunch of improvements, better N64 and MSX emulation, tweaks to the UI, CHD support if you wanted to compress your ROMs, and Ares is now portable. Everything is in one location. On top of that, there's a bunch of bug fixes and other improvements for other systems. Next up, we're talking about Nintendo Switch emulation on Android with Skyline, and this update is pretty quick. Ninja Gaiden is up and running at 30 frames a second, and I'm noticing not a whole lot of graphical glitching either. In terms of emulation, this is looking a lot better, and some people have been even reporting up to 40 frames a second in certain areas. As for the future of Skyline, the developers do have some tricks up their sleeves. This is not yet available to the public, it's strictly a developer build, but Pokemon Sword and Shield is now booting. It's also upside down and tucked into the corner, but it looks like here that the developers are working on a texture manager which will also help out a bunch of different games. I can't wait to see this update. Now, one big question I get about Skyline is how to download it. Previously, you had to go to their GitHub page, you needed a GitHub account, and then you could pick up the APK. But that has kind of changed. I mean, you can still do that if you want, or you can go to this website here. The Skyline devs have set it up, and you can just download the APK directly from here. It's the latest and greatest version of it, and you don't need any GitHub account. I'll drop a link in the description below. Next up, we're talking about Source Engine. Now, this really isn't emulation per se, and you do need to own copies of the game in order for this stuff to work. But if you wanted to play something like Half-Life 2 or Counter-Strike Source, or Half-Life Source, or Half-Life 2 Deathmatch, or Portal on your Android device, you kind of can. I'll leave a link to this Discord in the description below. Feel free to check it out. They have just updated a bunch of these things here, and you can pick them up on Google Drive. I would say I don't want to say it's questionable because this does seem trustworthy, but at the same time here, exercise caution if you are trying this stuff out. And if you want to see any of this stuff in action, or if you want to see behind the scenes coding, I'll leave a very helpful YouTube page in the description below. Feel free to check it out. And last up here, we're talking about Linus Tech Tips. Linus Tech Tips just put out a brand new video called I Am a Pirate. When I saw this thumbnail, I saw the title, I cringed a little bit. Especially seeing uTorrent here. I mean, who uses uTorrent nowadays? Personally, I don't recommend uTorrent at all. If you're on PC, I do recommend Qubit, Torrent, or Deluge. And if you're on Android, I recommend LibreTorrent or even Flood. But that stuff aside, I ended up watching the entire video and I was pleasantly surprised. Linus does a great job at helping out the emulation community here by dispelling some very popular myths surrounding emulation and the whole legality of it. In fact, they go on to rip a bunch of their own ROMs and end up playing them, which is awesome. I'll leave a link to this video in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. Let me know your thoughts on anything we talked about today in the comments below, and we did talk about quite a bit. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos, don't tempt fate, save your state.